Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. Back-to-back Tuesdays, we have Elmer Yuen because a lot has been happening in the world. They say that, a week is a long time in politics. I think the same applies to today's fast-changing events. So first, we're going to talk about the new nuclear scientist or hypersonic weapon specialist that has defected from China into the United States through Hong Kong and with the help of MI6. We're going to talk about that, the significance, why, and all that stuff. But stay tuned for the second part, which is the most important thing, in which we're going to talk about the mother of all weapons. This has not been discussed before in any webcast, to my knowledge. So here's something that we are going to talk about. There may be something that was touched upon in an interview that I had with an American general 2 years ago, but this is latest updated stuff. Without further delay, let's welcome our guest of the evening, Elmer Yuen. Elmer, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
So, Elmer, this news broke out, I think, last week that a mid-level scientist who has been working on the hypersonic missiles program from China got disgruntled because he was passed over for some promotions. He's in his 30s. He decided that he wanted to defect. The first thing that, and he reached out evidently to MI6. And then, you can take the story from here. You know this thing much better than I do. Go ahead.
He is, like you say, a medium-level engineer or scientist in the Chinese hypersonic missile program. And he belongs to a company in China called AVIC, AVIC. You can get on the line. AVIC controls all the airplanes, commercial, military, anything to do with air, not space, anything to do with air or air transport or air weaponry is controlled by this AVIC. All right. If you know where it is, it's in Beijing, right next to the bird's nest. You're going to see the bird's nest at the Olympic in a few days' time. But anyway, so remember we were talking in one of our programs, we're talking about this hypersonic thing. That was information leaked by him. And talking about this whole thing, the defection happened in about, I think, last year, September, October timeframe last year. And then those two shooting experience was July and August. So he's the one who provided all the information. And he was even 35 kilometers. It's very important. These details are very important. So basically what happened is he described to the MI6 and CIA that this is a orbit. All right, they've spent a lot of time, almost 2 years, to complete the calculation and then send it through an orbit through the South Pole, all right? Not through the North Pole. South Pole is very little protected, and then end up with a target with 35 kilometers off targets, all right? So that's what he said. And there were 2 experiments, and they were successful. And of course, US was shocked, all right? The US, and I remember Mike Pompeo was saying something like, oh, this is serious stuff. When people say something stuff means it's
no. By the way, stuff means SH something something. That's what he means. That's
really
American parlance for saying this is really serious stuff. Go ahead.
I see. But he was talking on Fox, so he couldn't use that word. But anyway, this is for real. Now, but this is only the tip of the iceberg. All right. And the information he gave is based on a controlled, all right, not controlled, a pre-programmed weapon that went through the South Pole and then hit the target. All right, this is based on very much like the intercontinental ballistic missile, which you need to program. All right, which means it's programmed and there's not many changes you can do. But what's most important thing, which I really I have to talk about today, is the mother of all weapons. I have been in China. Last time I was in China is only about maybe 20 months ago. All right, and I left, and then now I can never go back, right? Because I'm on so-called data, but I'm not I don't belong to the system, but I know a lot of things. So what happened is, what have the Chinese been planning in the last 30 some years? This is the mother of all weapons, meaning this weapon replaces all weapons. There's no need for any other weapons. You name it, all right? There's no need. So what they have planned is these 4 elements. One is they have a GPS called the North Star, which is the same as the American GPS, but they have their own system. And the European have their own, I think it's called name after maybe 𝗍𝗵𝗶𝗲𝗀𝗃 or something. But anyway, okay. All right, I think it's okay now. It's okay now. Does it sound okay now?
It sounds okay now. Yeah, we can turn off the video if in case something happens, because then we can conserve the bandwidth. So far, so good. Go ahead from 4 things. 4
things. I think the first thing I talk about is the North Star, the GPS, Chinese satellite system or a GPS system. All right, so they can control from there, and they have actually their satellites different from American. They are capable of defending and attacking other satellites. All right, so it's slightly different from the US. The US GPS system is peaceful. Right? It cannot attack or it does not defend itself. They never thought about using it in the space as a space weapon. Right. So number 1. Number 2 is the quantum computing. Whenever the Chinese want to communicate online or wireless, they want to use quantum computing and then 5G and then the optical fiber. This is the system. What is the system? Let's say the command of post, of course, let's say in Beijing, all right? That's where they direct all the warfare, not welfare, warfare, all right? So, yeah. And through optical fiber, they would go to, you remember China has a lot of ports, right? They have always offered to build ports. And the ports means different part of the world. So the ports is the uplink and downlink to the satellite through the optical fiber. The port means the optical fiber normally goes through underwater, under ocean. Yes, optical fiber goes to these ports. And then through the ports, it communicates with the satellite, all right? Their satellite. And the satellite carries warheads or weapons or missiles, hypersonic missiles. They carry these weapons, all right? And it could be small, even small as very small weapons, all right? But the satellites will be orbiting the world and carrying their satellite. And the orbiting, they control the orbiting, all right? Now, and then the satellite can communicate directly with the cellular 5G, what do you call, base station. The base station is always in the open air, right? For the base station to communicate with a satellite, it's easy. It's nothing, right? Just instead of going downwards, it goes upwards. It goes uplink. You know, it's easy, and you cannot control. Since they build the network, they know what to do. You have no control, all right? So basically, now most of your audience understand technology very well, and all I'm talking is elementary. It's not very high tech, all right? It's not very high. So they have a whole system. They can drop anything on top of your head, all right, in hypersonic speed. Now, how the hell do you defend yourself? None. You are defenseless. So all of a sudden, why do they need any other weapons? Why do they need the Army, the Navy, the Air Force? Why do they need anything at all? Why do they need a tank? Why do they need a ship, warship? Why do they need an aircraft? Why do they need anything if they can direct a satellite to shoot something from top of your head downwards in hypersonic speed? You are defenseless. So if they want to take out your whatever, your head of take out your general, all right? By mobile phone, they know exactly where he is, all right? They don't even have to drop a nuclear weapon. They can drop a little thing and just get rid of his car, like what the US done with ceremony. It can be done with big scale or the small scales, or even they want to get rid of one individual, because with 5G, you can pinpoint each telephone, each mobile phone, and they know everything. They know everything what's going on. All this mobile phone network is connected by their by their optical fiber. And the communication inside is using quantum computing. You don't know what they're talking. You don't know how they are communicating. So this is their system. This is why I call the mother of all weapons. With that, you don't need anything. Intercontinental ballistic missile, all that is totally outdated. It's totally finished. Tell me one weapon, all right, you need. None. There is nothing. So they've been working on this for more than 20 years, all right? More than 20 years. We guys have been sleeping. I mean, the stuff you're buying from Russia is a waste of time. Honest to God, waste of money. This is what they're up to. And US didn't believe it. US has heard about it, but they don't believe it's possible. Now, with this tool, in July and August, these two testing, which is not the final product, all right? This is probably just to show you that, we have such a program and it could be done. And this is why US is in awe, because if they can do this, it's just upgrading the communication intelligence, and they can do everything. Fortunately, 5G was stopped, all right? Remember, 5G was stopped from 2 years ago, because they knew Americans understand everything, but of course, nobody talks about it. But then, even without 5G, they don't have the accuracy. That's just why they have 35 kilometers off the target, all right? With 5G, they will be right on top of your head, right at your mobile phone. This is the difference with or without 5G. It's accuracy, all right? So this is why I said our whole Western world is sleeping. This is why Xi Jinping say, East is rising and West is falling. He has something. This is not bullshit. You understand? It's not bullshit. They have this program. Xi Jinping only came to power like 8-9 years ago, but they've been developing this thing for more than 20 years. And what I'm telling you is not impossible. It's quite feasible. If you give India the money, India can do the same. It's not that impossible. It's totally feasible. But they are making progress, and US is sleeping. Only Donald Trump said, we need a space force, right? He established a space force. And right now, I heard yesterday in Washington, Biden has cut back the budget. That space force is not doing anything, all right? There's no money for it. So this is how ridiculous this whole world is. And I don't know what to say, I mean, you have an enemy who has been working against you for the last 70 years, all right? And they technically, they are very, very smart. I mean, I'm sure you remember the last war with China they were very sneaky and deceitful. And this is not how we fight wars. So anyway, go ahead.
So a few questions that jump up right away. First thing, according to my information, the hypersonic missile can actually evade even something that is sent to kind of bring it down, unlike the intercontinental ballistic missile. Some intelligence is there that it can actually evade and keep going towards its target. First of all, something that can be faster than hypersonic is what you need to stop hypersonic. I don't know if that has been invented yet. So that is one of the things that I'm hearing. Now, the data about the scientist, he said that he was working on a missile range of 2,000 miles. Just for our understanding, Elmer, you did this thing once before. How high is the satellite above the Earth's surface? Just for my understanding.
I heard it's a low orbit. The satellite they were doing testing last July, August is low orbit. Doesn't matter how high, because it has center of gravity coming down. It's very fast, and they glide through the atmosphere, and then come down. What's happening is the last two experiments. This was a pre-programmed shooting, but then if this system that I just talked about works, they don't care. They can control it to any path, any way to get in, and drop on any target. That is the dangerous thing. And we're not talking about one. They can have a whole bunch of satellites in the sky. And this is, remember, in the 50s, US woke up from the Sputnik. And this was the beginning of all this imagination.
Right.
And doesn't matter because the height doesn't really matter. But if it's low orbit, it can come down much faster. You mean you have no time to go against it. But they still have to go through the so-called atmosphere, and they do have a gliding system. But the difference between now and the future is the future one will be all controlled. It's like the drone. Every step of the way they control it because it will be refined. But as of now, they say it took them almost 2 years to do calculation with very good computer to calculate this whole route, starting from launching, orbiting, and then coming through the atmosphere and shooting the target. That was a calculation. It's a pre-program. But in the future, if they have a system, then they can control every on its way. They can change a target on its way. This is how tough it is. That's why when you think about it, there's no need for any other weapon.
Now, I've also read that Russia has tested its hypersonic version on land, earth, land, sea, and in the air. Is Russia even ahead of China in that respect? They don't have 5G, but
I think the hypersonic technology going through the atmosphere, that part is from Russia. But then the Chinese thought about the entire system. The entire system meaning that you have control. You have the whole world under your control. This is what the difference. So it's a very this has been planned. I don't hear about it today. It's many years ago. They've been working on this. All right. And they don't just focus on the hypersonic thing. Any missile dropping from top of your head is so fast, and so you don't have any weapon. There is no system that you can because this is coming down so fast, and you don't know where. You know what I mean? It could be opposite to the street. Your target could be there. You don't know because they change as they go. So how do you? Whether it's hypersonic or 5 times or 10 times the speed of sound, doesn't matter. The matter is coming straight down, and you are defenseless. And they can change course as they come down. That's how bad it is. So it's a very serious issue that, somehow we are talking about many other issues. But you have to face this weapon, and the world has to destroy them before they control and destroy us. This is what I've been warning. I mean, this is called the unrestricted weapon or unrestricted warfare. That you don't know what to do. The West is totally unprepared. And of course they are still going conventional. Can you imagine?
Now let's take a look at 5G. You said that the world stopped China on 5G. Your concern was that Huawei's or ZTE's 5G technology or Chinese 5G technology had a way to get back home, right? It had a way to get back home. And that is what the 5G has stopped. And supposedly the one that is coming out of US and Europe, it doesn't do that. I mean, it does all the goodness, but not this kind of a sneaky backdoor entry stuff. My question to you, Elmer, is that if China starts doing like what you said, that they start connecting fiber to all its ports. Like there's one in Sri Lanka that they have now got on a 99-year-old lease, which means essentially they own the place because Sri Lanka could not even pay the interest. They are also building an artificial island just off of Colombo. That is only 30 kilometers from where Indian shores are. What you are describing is very, very clear and present danger for India. And I'm hoping that people who are listening to this, sit up and take notice. There's a lot of stuff happening. And so there is that part, I get it. The question, Elmer, is how does the West and India, how do they start, repelling some of these things? I mean, if your command central is taken out by a hypersonic missile, what are you going to do? What are you going to launch?
It's really a bit, no. You are talking about in Indian Ocean, you have these, they can do this satellite receivers and transmission, all right? Transmission towers. It's all over the world. They are Africa, of course, we don't need to talk about it. Almost every
Right,
country would be
right,
more
right,
than happy
right,
to let them do it.
right.
Argentina, Venezuela, all right, Ecuador, many Nicaragua, all those countries that broke the diplomatic relationship with Taiwan. One of the conditions is you need them, you allow them to do communication. Communication means they have these satellite towers. So it's not an Indian problem; it's a global problem. It's really not India, and India maybe it's not their first target. It's not their first target. Their first target, of course, naturally, is the United States
Yeah, if you
and the
take out
NATO.
US, what choice? What is going to be happening to the
Exactly,
rest? So
exactly. So
tell me, answer me this
you don't
question.
have
Sorry, sorry.
yes,
Uh,
yes. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I have to ask this question
No
now.
problem.
Uh,
No problem.
I just heard you say that Biden has slashed the defense budget. What the
Right.
heck is he smoking?
No, because he wants to do more welfares. By welfare, get more votes. Look at it. His budget is below the inflation level. Let's say U.S. right now we have what 6% inflation.
Yes,
His
yes.
is like a 2-3% increase per annum. So how the hell can you be slashing? And you right now there's so many things happening in Taiwan, in the South China Sea, in the NATO, in Europe. You need to increase by a lot more, not and he instead of increasing, he's decreasing because of the inflation factor. So it's a joke. It's a very serious. And I heard, I'm in DC. I heard they are not funding the Air Force because the Space Force, sorry, the Space Force needs a lot of additional budget, and all the satellites U.S. have in the sky have no defense capability, easily be shot down. But the Chinese satellite they send up, which is, let's say, in the last 20 years, they all have defense capability. They can avoid or somehow. It's a very serious situation, serious. And it's not a problem for India. I think US have to take the leadership. And I don't see it. I do not see such leadership at all from Biden. He does not even have the guts to go after China for the source of the COVID virus. He does not even have that guts. How the hell is he going to take action against China on this so-called mother of all weapons? I just don't see it. So in the end, it will be negotiation and then dragging, and China will have time to improve their weapon system. This is what I'm seeing here. And I'm sorry, it sounds so great, but that is real life. And of course, India, you guys need to wake up. Sometimes at the end of the day, you have to protect yourself. The world cannot keep on counting like Europe, counting on US to protect them. You have to protect yourself. You have to take active measure yourself, or through spies or through any other means, because this is the threat. This is clear and present danger. I'm not talking about tomorrow. Even today, they can shoot, not so accurate, but 35 kilometers doesn't make any difference in the nuclear missile. So by the time they have that, everybody will just have to obey China. That is what they want. They want the mother of all weapons so that they can control the whole world.
And viewers, I just wanted to put the backdrop of mine completely so that you can see my new book. The book describes how China has penetrated the secure technology network layer, everything, you name it. And this has been, talked about here and there, called SolarWinds software, that these guys had a vulnerability that was exploited, and that SolarWinds is in almost all the software that you can think of. Question for you, Elmer. Sometimes you got to start doing the small things right. Do you think, in your opinion, now the SolarWinds software hacks have been closed? Because I still keep getting a lot of upgrades without being asked questions. It just goes and blind force upgrades your system.
Siri, all the SolarWinds and Dominion, the media have been ordered to shut them down, not to talk about it. They are upgrading, they're improving, and everything, but the media are not allowed to talk about it. This is how deceitful or how good the Chinese have a war. This war is not only the weapon. They have control. They're controlling the media. The media. I mean, there's a Winter Olympic coming up. They control. You want to broadcast in the Winter Olympic? You promise to do this and that and that. You're not allowed to criticize China. You're not allowed to talk about SolarWinds or election fraud. It's a global warfare going on. Except there's no fire. It's a cold war going on. All these things you are talking is true, but why? No, how come nobody talk about it? All right. Nancy Pelosi would not even entertain any hearing, all right, on this election fraud or on the virus. So based on these two issues, they are actually working with the Chinese communists. They are working. There's no question. This is not a maybe. It's a must. How can U.S. have already 850,000 people died from the COVID? All right. And this is more than any world war the U.S. have participated. How come? No investigation. Huh? No, and still go to the Olympics. Send their athletes to us. This is an obvious example. Please put all these things together. You understand. They are in cahoots. They are in cahoots. This is how bad it is. And they are not ready to fight the Chinese communists. We need to do something, honestly, for our children. We need to do something.
And viewers, we're just going to put up a picture of one of the hypersonic missiles that has been displayed. It's called the DF-17.
I
think the full name is 𝗚𝗚𝗃-17. Now, this is something that was
east wind. 𝗚𝗃 means east wind. They want the east wind to blow to the west. All right, west means America, east means China. East wind to overcome the west. That's what they want.
And this was something that was captured in 2019. And like Elmer said, that they still, it's kind of being fine-tuned, but it's getting there very, very fast. Finally, just if you could touch upon this F-35 disaster that took place off of the airport, the carrier, aircraft carrier. What is happening there? Looks like it has not been traced yet. Do you have any idea what's going on there?
I mean, recently, in the last few months, there are so many aircraft or helicopter having a problem or crashing. It becomes a pattern of crashing. All right, and F-35, not only this one, you remember there was one the British lost it and then picked it up again on their way back to Europe, and then US of course lost it in South China Sea. All right, one just, and they still try to search it. There have just been too many. I don't believe in luck, but we have coincidences to believe, we cannot believe in coincidence so much. It's ridiculous the number of helicopter and then Taiwan just lost another F-16. All right, this is about 4 days ago. Another F-16 suddenly crashed. All suddenly kind of vertically down. Very, very interesting. So there must be, and then turn around. The Russians are having the same problem. So I believe, call me conspiracy theory. I believe there's a war going on. You crash mine, I crash yours. And this is getting too easy. I think did you see the news on the Russian aircraft?
No.
It just came yesterday. Yesterday there was a Russian aircraft accident, or another accident. So they are doing it to each other, and I wouldn't be surprised. And they don't have to tell the rest of the world, because this is hacking. You hacking to my plane, I hacking to your plane. So please look at it. Don't look at it from, there cannot be so many accidents all in a matter of 2-3 months.
Well, this is just the beginning of a long story. Think of it as a soap opera, but it's much more serious than a soap opera. And Elmer, one of the tributes to your predictions is yesterday's speech by George Soros, 30-minute speech, where he just about confirmed every one of your suspicions, unless he took the script from you and wrote it. He's a rich man. He has thousands.
I know him, but I don't deal with him. I knew him when I live in New York, but I don't deal with him.
Yeah, I mean, he has independent research team, and that just goes to show you viewers that every hangout with Elmer is like gold dust. We are telling you things that are happening a little bit before they happen. So I'm sure those who are in the places of decision making can get some information from us. And as always, a pleasure to have you, Elmer. I'm sorry I don't have time to take questions. It's 35 minutes, 36 minutes already, and you've been doing back-to-back shows. I hate to kind of hold you back even more. So thank you very much. And viewers, will be back again next Tuesday, if not sooner. And hopefully we'll not have this kind of active interference in Elmer's line to the next week around. But we are not making this up. We are not conspiracy theorists. You saw it yourself today in this broadcast. Thank you very much, Elmer. Namaskar.
Yeah, thank you so much. But Siri, what I've been telling you, I tell all my Chinese audience. In fact, you are a little bit later. I tell them first in Cantonese or in Mandarin. So this is not just I don't make it up for your audience. That's what I'm saying. All right.
Thank you so much.
Very nice talking to you. Thank you for inviting me. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.